Discover the amazing transformation. A kind woman saves a biker, unveiling his hidden Mafia past. Anna stood on the threshold of her veterinary clinic, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the pavement. The crisp air buzzed with the scent of autumn, but that evening, a feeling of foreboding clung to her. Ever since Jake had stumbled onto her doorstep, bleeding and battered from his motorcycle accident, her life had been everything but predictable. The whispers of her neighbors echoed in her head, each one laden with prejudice. "He's just trouble, Anna. Bikers are nothing but trouble." But beneath her friends' narrow judgments, she sensed a spark within Jake, one that challenged all she believed about loyalty and compassion. As she cleaned his wounds, her hands shook slightly, not from the gruesome sight of his injury but from the unaccustomed warmth forming in her chest. Every brush of her fingertips against his skin brought with it an unforeseen desire to know him, to understand the man behind those guarded eyes. Yet, the weight of her community's disdain pressed heavily on her shoulders. What if they were right? What if she was placing herself and her family in danger by helping someone with shadows lurking in his past? Her thoughts raced, battling the burgeoning connection she felt towards him. Her instincts urged her to take a step back. The choice to distance herself felt like self-preservation, but the compassion deep in her core clawed for acknowledgement. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as days bled into nights, Anna found herself entwined with Jake's soft-spoken charm. Each laugh and whispered confession drew her in deeper, igniting an internal conflagration. She saw the way he flinched at strangers' gazes, the shame radiating off of him as if from a live wire. He wore his history like a cloak, heavy and suffocating. His silence screamed volumes about a life she couldn't completely grasp, and all the while, dread burrowed in her mind like a relentless ache. Tension coiled around her heart, a band of unease that tightened with each look, each shared moment. What if he relapsed into his past? Could she bear to watch her own life implode because of a man she barely knew? But what if he was more than just a bad boy with a lineage? What if he was a man seeking redemption? With each new revelation he allowed her, Anna's convictions eroded, and her concern for her family began to clash with her yearning for understanding. As Jake opened up slowly, she too felt the weight of her own fears of rejection, judgment, and the consequences of a decision that felt increasingly fragile. Then came the ominous news, the rumbling engines felling the blissful dampness of evening air. Figures from Jake's past were crossing into town, dark shadows haunting his every step and stalking her dreams. Anna's breath caught. They were coming for him, and by extension, her. In that heart-stopping moment, cloaked in tension, she faced an agonizing choice: pull away from the man she'd begun to believe in, or embrace the chaos that followed him like a plague. The lines separating right from wrong blurred into a desperate haze, and Anna was left teetering on the precipice of an irrevocable decision. As familiar faces turned cold, as fear spread like wildfire, Anna's heart raced. She could feel the walls closing in, but could she resist the pull of something that felt so right, even in its wrongness? Would she dare comb through the shadows of a life she didn't choose, or step back, retreating into the comfort of preconceived judgments and self-preservation? The storm was brewing, and when chaos descended, it would dismantle the delicate balance of everything she'd worked to build. Fear gripped Anna like an unforgiving vice as she stood inside the clinic, contemplating her next move. The air felt heavier, thick with uncertainty. For days, Jake had become a part of her life, a fleeting escape from the monotony of her routine, a complex enigma she'd felt compelled to unravel. Yet, as the shadows gathered outside, instilling dread, her resolve began to crumble. She was no longer just an observer, she was entangled in a web that threatened to ensnare her completely. Leaving the clinic, Anna's thoughts raced ahead, images of Jake, moments of laughter, hesitant conversations, all laced together with threads of anxiety. She couldn't help but feel the warmth of connection fight against the cold reality that encroached upon her sanctuary. 1 week ago, she had envisioned a life grounded in predictability, but Jake's presence ignited a longing for the unknown. The choice she faced felt gargantuan, to embrace the risk or flee into familiar safety. Determination ignited a flicker in her chest. If Jake was in danger, she owed it to him and to herself to confront the chaos. It was time to challenge her doubts, to wrestle with fears that had previously held her captive. With newfound courage fueling her resolve, she decided she would not shy away from the turbulence his past brought into her life. The vibrant colors of autumn blurred by as Anna drove, the setting sun a reminder that time was fleeting. She thought of Jake, his eyes those depths that mirrored his hidden burdens. Introspection offered up her guiding question: what would it mean for her to stand by him amidst the impending storm? The instinctive rush of adrenaline reminded her of another fundamental truth. She was a veterinarian, trained to help those who were defenseless and hurt, even if it meant confronting potential dangers along the way. When Anna entered her apartment, she was struck by a wave of calm. The rhythmic ticking of the clock was now a metronome, steady and resolute. She began laying out a plan. Instead of shying away from the impending confrontation she sensed looming on the horizon, she'd seek the answers herself. If Jake was connected to something sinister, it was essential to understand the whole picture and help him, not just for his sake but for her own peace of mind. Anna's fingers danced across the surface of her laptop, researching the club associated with Jake. The very name had whispered through her anxious thoughts. Slowly, as revelation unfolded with every click, she recognized patterns and connections. The realization of how deep the connections ran sent a rush of adrenaline through her veins. Each piece of information felt pivotal. This was not merely a choice between safety and chaos, but a choice that would define who she was becoming. The more she uncovered, the more she felt a sense of power rising within her. She was no longer lost in the haze of doubt that had initially clouded her mind. Instead, she was stepping into her role as a protector, not just for Jake, but for her own evolving narrative. Anna had always known she was capable of more than what her life had previously required of her. This was the moment she would harness that capability. As the dark clouds gathered outside, she felt a sense of foreboding intertwining with resolve. Anna was becoming her own hero in this narrative, ready to protect and understand, even if it meant confronting the very shadows that once terrified her. But a note slid under her door, barely visible in the dim light, and as she opened it, cold dread washed over her. The implications of that simple piece of paper threatened to unravel everything she had just begun to weave. The fight was coming to her door, and she had just tangled with forces she barely understood. How could she summon the fortitude to face the unexpected? The time had come to face the consequences of her choices and the shadows they cast, with Jake's silence creeping closer to an explosive confrontation. The path ahead remained treacherous, and Anna wondered if she was truly ready for what was to come. Anna stood frozen, the note trembling in her grasp. The stark white paper seemed almost innocuous, but its implications were daunting. What if this was an ultimatum? She felt a surge of fear mix with the adrenaline coursing through her veins, and the choice to either run or fight crystallized with startling clarity. This was no longer just about Jake, this was about her journey of self-discovery and the difficult road ahead. Pushing thoughts of retreat aside, she forced deep breaths into her lungs and focused on her environment, grounding herself in the reality that was her sanctuary, her apartment. It was filled with the familiar sense of lavender and cedar. Here, she had always felt secure. But now, those same walls felt like an enclosure, one that could either protect or stifle her resolve. Anna's analytical mind kicked into gear. She picked up the note again, scanning it for more than just the primal fear it incited. The handwriting was jagged, rushed, perhaps even desperate. It contained a simple message, but the weight of it was heavy: stay away from him. It's for your own good. Who sent this? She murmured to herself, the words barely escaping her lips. Was it a warning, or just another tactic to keep her from stepping deeper into Jake's world? She placed it down, her heart racing, that lingering connection to Jake solidifying into a tether she could no longer ignore. Without a plan in mind but with a resolve that felt like steel, Anna turned back to her laptop, hoping to find some comfort in familiar data. She began to search again for anything that might deepen her understanding of Jake's life as past, the club, the pressures that accompanied him. Each click leading her further down this rabbit hole of intrigue installed another layer of determination within her. Minutes turned into hours, the glow of her laptop illuminating dark shadows on the walls. Article after article unfolded a picture of a world that Anna had only glimpsed, now sprawled out like a tense tapestry before her. The more she learned, the more pieces of the puzzle began to shift into place. She made meticulous notes, forming connections as she pieced together stories of loyalty, danger, and brotherhood, an intricate world that seemed to entrust itself to her understanding. Amidst this whirlwind of information, she stumbled upon stories of individuals who had tried to cross the barriers of this lifestyle, those who had succeeded and those who had failed tragically. Each narrative struck a chord within her, calling on her empathy as both a veterinarian and a woman. A sinking realization began to surface: navigating this territory would demand more than courage, it required a moral stance, a commitment to bridge her life with his without losing herself entirely. The line separating safety from danger was becoming dangerously blurred. Every heartbeat pulsed with a rising urgency. Jake's life was interwoven with peril, and Anna felt compelled to stand with him against it. Yet, she grappled with a paralyzing question: how much of herself was she willing to sacrifice? Suddenly, her phone buzzed, jolting her back to reality. It was a message from Jake. The moment her eyes flickered over the screen, worry and anticipation merged in an electrifying cascade. "We need to talk. Now." Her pulse quickened. This was it. The moment of truth had arrived. Inhaling sharply, she understood she could not delay any longer. A confrontation loomed on the horizon, fraught with danger but also the possibility of clarity. Anna stood at the precipice of personal transformation, her choice illuminated by the glow of her laptop, pulled between two worlds, one threatening to consume her, the other her compelling love for a man she only partially understood. Determined, she grabbed her jacket and headed for the door, steeling herself for whatever awaited her. As she locked it behind her, a singular thought echoed: what fate awaited her in the shadows of his life? The chill of the evening air hit Anna like a rush of cold water as she stepped outside. The city's pulse thrummed around her, a cacophony of distant sirens, car horns, and murmurs of nightlife. Each sound felt amplified, akin to the whispers of the note she had just stood over. She had made her choice to confront Jake, but now the reality of that decision sunk in, amplifying her apprehension with every step. Her mind was a flurry of thoughts, racing through the myriad possibilities of their conversation. What could he possibly want to discuss? Would he be as open as she hoped, or would he slip back into shadows, leaving her adrift with more questions than answers? All the articles she had read about him, the courage exhibited by those who ventured into his world, spiraled into doubt. What if she wasn't he enough? What if she failed to understand him? As she approached the diner where they had agreed to meet, the neon lights flickered like the hope battling within her. The innate discomfort was overshadowed by an undercurrent of excitement, the anticipation of discovery. Confrontation meant action, and action led to growth, she reassured herself. Pushing through the door, she was met by the warmth inside. The smells of coffee and fried food embraced her, grounding her in the moment. Jake was already seated at a corner booth, his gaze fixed on the mug cradled in his hands. She noted the tense set of his shoulders, the shadow of worry carved into his features. Could he be contemplating the same doubts she felt? "Hey." Anna approached him cautiously, her voice barely breaking through her swirling thoughts. "Hey." He looked up, and for a moment, the intensity of his gaze made her heart race. It bore into her, revealing a vulnerability she hadn't expected to see. "I got your message." The heaviness in the air felt tangible as they both sought to anchor themselves amid their uncharted territory. "I got a note," she began. "Someone warned me to stay away from you." He stiffened, hands tightening around the ceramic, revealing his uncharacteristic shame. "It's not what you think," he replied, his voice low. Anna exhaled, determination surging within her. "Then explain." "I'm here, Jake. I want to understand." For several moments, silence reigned as he processed her words. The world surrounding them faded as they settled into this moment of vulnerability. I grew up in a world where loyalty is paramount, he started. Not always the kind you'd want to be a part of, but I can't just walk away. Her heart thudded in her chest at the truth embedded within his admission. She felt the weight of what he carried, the burdens of loyalty and fear clashing with her instinct to protect herself. It wasn't just Jake's life, it was her own entanglement she had to consider. What about us? She asked, voice steady but low. Can we find a way to make this work, despite your past? Anna felt the magnitude of her words settle between them. Jake's features twisted, a storm of conflict played across his face. It became clear that, for him, this was more than a discussion, it was a reckoning. Anna, there are things that could hurt you, things I can't protect you from. His voice trembled slightly. But what if I am willing to take that risk? She pressed, the fire within her flaring to life. What if I want to be part of your world, to help you navigate through it? He leaned back, expression torn, caught between the desire to reject and embrace. The moment stretched, and in that quiet exchange of intentions, Anna understood the depth of her own commitment. This was not about being a passive partner, it was about standing firm in the tides of uncertainty. Their eyes locked, each reflecting layers of complexities and confrontations yet to come. As they settled into the gravity of their choices, a newfound resolve anchored Anna's thoughts. Her own growth hinged upon whether she could unite her life with his chaotic reality without compromising her essence. Meanwhile, outside, danger loomed in the shadows, both theirs and Jake's past beckoning with promises of conflict. A rumble in the distance hinted at a storm brewing, the dark roads ahead full of untold threats. Anna could feel the ground shifting beneath her, the decision before her more complicated than she could have anticipated. As the conversation deepened, she realized she would need to summon every ounce of bravery not only to face the challenges ahead but also to unearth the untold truths within herself. Jake, she said suddenly, her voice unwavering. I need you to promise me one thing, be honest with me from here on out. No more hiding. His look shifted, and with it came an unspoken agreement, a pact solidified in that moment. Little did they know, the shadows lurking behind them bore a message of their own, one that would soon demand their attention in a way they could never have anticipated. The hum of conversation and clinking of dishes faded into background noise as Anna and Jake remained ensconced in their quiet bubble of tension. Each breath she took grew heavier with the weight of their exchange, but within that heaviness glimmered potential. It ignited an ember of conviction deep within her. Just then, Jake stirred, breaking the fragile silence. You deserve the truth, he stated, his tone more resolute. But as he shifted in the booth, she sensed the backdrop of the world he'd chosen to remain tethered to an invisible chain linking him to a past riddled with darkness. What does that look like for you? Anna questioned, a heavy sadness dripping from her voice as she studied his furrowed brow. What part of it can I embrace? What part of you can I know? He seemed to struggle for words, the storm within him evident. Anna took a deep breath, her own resolve fortifying her spirit. This moment would shape her, no matter the outcome. My past isn't just a series of mistakes, Anna. It's a lifetime of choices that other people made too. I've spent years trying to break away from it, he explained, the vulnerability in his voice stepping into the light. But those choices were made for the sake of loyalty. There are obligations I can't escape. The officer in her dissected the implications of his words. Jake's struggle mirrored the intricacies of human morality, where allegiance often superseded personal safety and clarity. Did she dare cling to those gray areas, where truth hung in the balance? What if, Anna interrupted gently, that loyalty isn't your only option? What if you can forge your own path, without putting others at risk? The question lingered in the air like a delicate thread, daring him to sever his connections to the dark ties binding him. Jake's expression flickered with uncertainty, the raw truth stinging his pride. You don't understand what's at stake. I'm not just protecting myself. He leaned forward, intensity sparking in his dark eyes. I'm protecting people who depend on me. Leaving means putting them in danger. Her heart ached at the revelation. But staying could put you in danger too. Anna's reply was heavy with the realization of what his choices might cost him, an ever-looming threat that brushed against the life they hoped to build together. In that moment, a sense of empowerment wrapped around her like a cloak. She realized she possessed the agency to challenge, to confront not only his demons but her own fears as well. This confrontation was an awakening. She could no longer abide by the boundaries placed upon her by her own trepidation. "I need to know that I can trust you," she pressed, letting her emotions bleed into her words. "Loyalty shouldn't come at the price of honesty. Every secret you keep pushes us further apart, Jake." His expression shifted, a storm of emotions flickering through his eyes, battle between vulnerability and defiance. "I never wanted to drag you into my mess." "Then don't," Anna urged, the words pouring out like a mantra, filling the space between them. "Rewrite your story. We could be part of something real, something that exists outside of that loyalty. You could choose me." The wind outside howled, shaking the diner just as Anna's heart echoed with fierce determination. The shadows outside loomed larger than before, a reminder that darkness did not relent easily. Yet within her, a resolve stirred. She rose to meet this volatile intersection of paths, ready to forge whatever lay ahead despite the bubbling uncertainty, despite the betrayals that could follow. But then, as Jake opened his mouth as if to respond, a loud crash shattered the moment. The diner door flew open, drawing attention and scattering the patrons. A figure entered, cloaked in shadow, eyes scanning the room with predatory intent. Anna's heart raced, now not only faced with challenging Jake's choices but confronting a tangible threat. What if this encounter marked the beginning of testing their alliance? Had they both, with their crumbling walls, invited danger into their lives? In that charged atmosphere, she turned toward Jake, mind racing with the implications. The time had come to face what lay beneath not just his world, but her own as well. Would they stand together, or would the darkness split them apart? The air hummed with a palpable tension as Anna's muscles coiled instinctively, her eyes locked on the doorway. The atmosphere shifted, morphing from that fragile moment of self-revelation with Jake into a crucible of external threat. The figure's presence was no accident, it was a dark portent that threatened to unravel everything she had just dared to build. Jake remained poised at the edge of the booth, the storm of emotions she had detected earlier now intensified. This was no longer a moment merely about past choices, it had morphed into one of survival. Anna watched as he clenched his fists, his resolve hardened into a fierce determination. "Stay here," he whispered, his voice low, yet brutally clear. It wasn't a request but a command laced with urgency. A part of her wanted to argue, to confront both him and the intruder, but she understood that Jake was fighting a battle that had been raging long before she had entered his life. As he moved to shield her, Anna felt the weight of her own agency. While her heart drummed in fear, she realized that she too had choices that could define more than just this moment. With a calm clarity, she considered her next step. Watching Jake, this man who had unwittingly opened up a world of possibilities, it was a chance to reinforce the connection they were building, or to push him away by letting fear dictate her actions. "What are you going to do?" she breathed, forcing herself to sound composed, though adrenaline coursed through her veins. Jake's gaze flickered to her, a fleeting moment of vulnerability creasing his brow. "I'll take care of this. You need to know." The word escaped her lips with surprising conviction, surprising even herself. "We need to face this together. I want to let you handle it alone." His eyes searched hers, weighing the sincerity of her resolve. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about them. If she was to be part of his life, then she needed to embrace every aspect of it no matter how dangerous. The figure in the doorway took a step forward, an unyielding shadowscape stretching across the diner, fluid, unrelenting. Anna felt a surge of defiance as she slid out from the booth, positioning herself next to Jake. It was a small act, but it felt monumental, a solid declaration of her choice to stand firm, even in the face of uncertainty. "Who are you?" she demanded, voice trembling yet assertive, unyielding in its challenge. Fear became an empowering fuel, igniting her determination. The figure smirked, assessing the two of them before responding. "Just someone with a message for Jake." Jake's posture tensed, anger radiating from him. "What do you want?" "Your past doesn't let go easily, does it?" The intruder's voice slithered through the air like a viper, chilling Anna to the bone. You have a choice to make, Jake. Either stay loyal to your so-called obligations or embrace the consequences of stepping away. Anna felt the gravity of the moment. The reflection of Jake's internal conflict erupted before her, transcending words, exposing the core of who he was and who she could be in his world. Suddenly, her concern for Jake intertwined with a burgeoning desire to assert her worth. This wasn't merely about their shared experiences, it was about confronting the shadows of the past together. Jake turned to her, conflict flickering across his face, a wild mixture of pride and concern merging within dark depths. Anna, no, she interrupted again, steeling herself. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. But you have to be honest with me here and now. The figure chuckled, a low menace that echoed ominously. You're bold, I'll give you that. Better watch out, it can get you killed. Anna's gaze remained steady, the mantra repeating within her, this was hers to face, as much as it was Jake's. And there it was, the crossroads they stood upon. Let us find out, then, Jake said, a fierce light igniting in his eyes, leaning toward his own shadowy past, and, more importantly, toward her. Would they confront their demons together, or would one of them falter their emerging bond either? Solidified or shattered in the midst of looming danger? As tension spiraled around them, Anna understood this was the moment that would shape both of their futures. The air crackled with impending choices that could forge a new path or lead them deeper into the darkness. Anna's heart raced, every beat merging the tumult of fear and anticipation. She felt the presence of the intruder settling like a dense fog in the diner, its weight pressing on her shoulders. Yet, as she stood resolutely beside Jake, that weight morphed into a foundation. The choice lay bare before them, flickering like a candle in the wind, vulnerable yet powerful. Tell me more, Jake demanded, his voice low but unwavering. Was he inviting confrontation, testing the waters, or seeking clarity in murky depths? Anna could sense the questions swirling in his mind, an internal storm echoing her own. The figure chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. Loyalty comes with a price, Jake. You've danced with the shadows long enough. It's time to decide if you want to continue the charade or break free. Through the haze of uncertainty, Anna's thoughts crystallized. This was not only about Jake's past but also about her burgeoning identity, her readiness to step into a world rife with complications and moral puzzles. Who was she evolving into in this moment? Maybe it's time for you to break free too, she asserted, voice steady as she sidestepped closer to Jake. You don't have to own your past. You can choose a different path. The figure's expression shifted, a flicker of interest breaking through his veil of menace. Interesting. You think you can protect him? This world has teeth. It won't let you go easily. Fear flickered, but Anna embraced it. It spurred her. What had been a game of survival was now unfolding into a deep inquiry into her own values. Was she prepared to stand firm against the unknown risks, knowing that the darker aspects of Jake's world could easily engulf her? Protecting him doesn't mean saving him from his own choices, she said, channeling the strength she had discovered within herself. He's made mistakes, but he has the power to rewrite his story. So do I. Jake's gaze lingered on her, eyes widening slightly as though her affirmation stirred something long dormant within him. The recognition of her words surged through the space, shifting the dynamic from both fear and manipulation to empowerment. She could feel Jake drawing strength from her certainty as they formed a united front. Your time is running out, Jake, the figure hissed, stepping forward, engendering shivers in Anna's spine. You think you can escape your past? You'll learn. There are consequences for every choice. Then let us face them together, Jake said, his voice firm as he reached for Anna's hand, an act of defiance, trust, and determination to face the figure and whatever lay ahead. Every ounce of Anna's being resonated with this new commitment. Just months ago, she was shying away from conflict, but now she stood on the precipice of a new existence. If Jake was to confront the chaos of his past, then she would journey alongside him, no longer an observer but an active participant. Yet, beneath the surface, a small pang of doubt flickered, a whisper of uncertainty about her capability to navigate this tumultuous reality. What if this confrontation turned disastrous? Would she be prepared to endure the consequences? As intense emotions swelled in the air, the figure's expression darkened. He leaned closer, his voice a serpent's hiss. Are you ready to lose everything for someone, a fool? Anna glanced up at Jake, seeing not just a man shaped by darkness but a potential partner in a shared battle, and an embodiment of the strength she was forging. There, in the crucible of uncertainty and burgeoning loyalty, her resolve solidified. Before Jake could respond, Anna stepped forward. Let us put that to the test. The diner seemed to hold its breath, the tension a tangible thread stretching between them and the intruder. In that moment, choices unfolded like a map of destinies. She felt the stakes rise, a sense of invincibility igniting her determination. But before she could harness that energy fully, the figure extended a hand, a glimmer of something unreadable in his eyes. Then let's see if you truly know what you're in for. Anna and Jake stood their ground, each heartbeat a testament to their commitment and impending fate. Would this moment lead to liberation or devastation, their paths entwining irrevocably in the morass of shadows? It was time for them to discover the truth of their resolve, and as the words echoed around the diner, Anna understood the shape of the battle ahead lay not only before them but deep within their very cores. The figure's outstretched hand lingered in the air like an ominous harbinger, the dim light of the diner casting unsettling shadows across their faces. Anna felt every pulse of her heart synchronize with a quiet rebellion stirring within her. Suddenly, this confrontation transcended the immediate danger. It symbolized a threshold, a transformative moment that could redefine her very identity and Jake's future. Enough games, Jake snapped, breaking the silence. His grip on Anna's hand tightened, conveying unspoken strength and solidarity. In that shared hold, Anna found comfort, a realization that their connection could become their greatest weapon. Doubt no longer had a place in her mind. Instead, clarity steered her thoughts like a guiding compass. The figure's chuckle resumed, more mocking than before. You both think you're ready for this? The world you're stepping into doesn't care about nobility. You'll pay a heavy price. Anna's thoughts raced. What price was she willing to pay? Would the potential for growth mean sacrificing her safety and comfort? The stakes felt staggeringly high, yet she understood now that growth often demanded courage. Knowing that, she couldn't step back. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's facing it anyway, she said, her voice unwavering. We're not asking for permission to rewrite our stories. We're claiming that right. As the figure recoiled slightly, his expression shifting from amusement to something darker, Anna recognized the semblance of fear creeping into his eyes. Beneath that bravado was a realization that they were not beacons of ignorance. They had glimpsed the tapestry of their choices, woven intricately with the threads of history and consciousness. Look closely, intruder, Jake asserted, stepping marginally forward to shield Anna. The light glimmered on his brow, embers of defiance igniting within him as he gripped the back of a nearby chair, a physical representation of his readiness to confront the shadows looming around them. You think you control the narrative, but you don't. We do. Anna watched, a mix of admiration and pride swelling within her. Jake's transformation was palpable. The timid man defined by his past had shifted into someone rooted in resolve, fierce and raw. This was the same resolve she had awakened within herself, a reflection of her inner strength now burgeoning into something formidable. What's it going to be, Jake? The figure taunted. Will you cling to fantasy or accept reality? Your past isn't going to let you go without a fight. In that pivotal moment, Jake turned to Anna, his gaze fierce and unwavering. I want to fight. Not just for my past but for us, whatever that looks like. His words resonated within, illuminating the long lane of uncertainties ahead yet suggesting that whatever came next would be a joint endeavor. Inexplicably, Anna felt part of something grander than just a momentary rebellion. She was not just supporting Jake, her evolution was enmeshed within theirs. The weight of her past, heavy as it felt, was being lifted as she discovered layers of resilience she never knew existed. Together, they were creating a new line of defense against the specters of their lives. Then, the figure's expression darkened again, his eyes narrowing temporarily with contempt. You think you're ready to confront consequences? Fine, if you want to step into this abyss, I'll show you the depths you're willing to plunge into. Anna's breath caught. The air was thick with impending dread, but something inside her buzzed with excitement. What was she truly prepared to face? As the figure stepped back, the tension in the room crackled, her heart racing in rhythm not just with fear but with the potential of their choices. Let us uncover the truth, then, Anna declared, together. In that instant, clarity washed over her, dispelling the lingering fog of doubt and suppressing the echoes of fear. It was no longer about merely standing beside Jake or preserving someone else's narrative, it was about crafting her own reality, intertwining with his through the fires of confrontation and discovery. As the figure retreated to his corner, the diner seemed to vibrate with anticipation. Anna and Jake, grounded fiercely in their newfound determination, prepared to unearth whatever dark secrets their pasts held. The air pulsed with an electric energy, the kind that sought liberation through understanding, strength through struggle. Anna's determination solidified. The next step would be pivotal, but one question loomed larger than the rest. What exactly did they need to uncover about their intertwined lives? As the figure surveyed them, a new layer of tension unfurled, laying bare the undiscovered ground that lay beneath their feet, concealing shadows they had yet to confront. In that moment, the diner held its breath, the choices, the revelations, whatever lay ahead teetering on the brink of the unknown. Anna felt an exhilarating thrill run through her. What awaited them next would not just challenge their resolve but carve pathways into the futures they had both dared to dream. Would their joint confrontation lead to the liberation they fought for, or were they merely diving deeper into a darker abyss? A profound stillness enveloped the diner as Jake and Anna braced themselves for the figure's next move. Anna's mind raced, processing every possibility that lay ahead. The atmosphere crackled with tension not unlike the calm before a storm, amplifying her urge to take decisive action. She felt an unyielding sense of purpose radiating through her. This was a defining moment not just for them, but for her own identity. What depths will you show us? Anna demanded, her voice firm, demanding clarity amidst the uncertainty. Every word she uttered reaffirmed her resolve. The weight of her past transgressions felt lighter in this moment. She could sense the room poised on a precipice, everyone waiting for a spark. The figure leaned closer, his eyes glinting with disdain. You think you have it figured out, don't you? That you can defeat your past with mere willpower? His sarcasm stirred something vulnerable within Anna, but it quickly transformed into defiance. This wasn't just a battle of wills, it was a chance to confront her very core. Wasn't this the path to her own liberation? What if I can? What if we both can? Anna challenged, her voice unwavering like a sword. Jake's eyes widened with renewed purpose as he took a step forward, mirroring her strength. The palpable shift in their dynamic struck Anna harder than she expected. Here they stood, transformed, two individuals fortified by determination and intent. They would no longer be passive players in someone else's game. Their fears and hesitations transformed into fuel. What matters most is what we choose to do next, Jake said, his voice steady, accentuating their commitment. We're ready to confront our truth. The figure's lips twisted into a smirk, but it faltered. You assume your shared bravado grants you safety. The abyss can be consuming. A flicker of doubt crossed his face before it solidified into a challenging glare. Anna sensed the shifting tides around her. The figure's bravado was crumbling, revealing a glimpse of the swirling turmoil beneath. With a newfound conviction, she stepped toward the figure, reclaiming the narrative. We know you're not invincible. Your game ends here. The room stilled briefly, and for the first time, Anna felt empowered by her past rather than shackled by it. It had instilled resilience and determination. She emerged not as a victim but as a warrior in her own story. This realization transported her forward not just through fear but into potential realms of understanding. As the air crackled with unspoken words, Anna caught a glimpse of Jake's uncertainty mirrored in her own heart. She could feel his pulse in harmony with hers. They were inextricably linked in this journey. He was evolving alongside her, and together they were rewriting the terms of their existence. Show us then, Jake spoke with authority. Unveil the truth, whatever it may be. We deserve to know. The figure's rage flickered like a dying flame, but he recovered quickly. Very well. What you uncover about yourselves may disrupt everything you thought you knew. Are you prepared for the consequences? Anna inhaled deeply, sparking a fresh wave of determination. That's precisely why we're here. We're not afraid of the consequences. We want to know the truth. The figure narrowed his eyes, seemingly weighing their resolve. His hesitation spoke volumes. It was evident they had struck a nerve. Maybe, just maybe, they were treading territories even he found unsettling. As he prepared to unveil what loomed behind the veil of their pasts, Anna felt time stretch. Each heartbeat resonated like a drum. What they learned next could alter their realities forever, but the quest for truth was now a necessity, and revitalizing. They could either face the ghosts of their past or let them shape their futures. In that charged moment, Anna and Jake clung tenaciously to each other, realizing the strength of their bond had become their greatest asset. They had come too far to falter now. No matter what truths you reveal, Anna whispered to Jake, we will face them together. The figure took a step back, his expression darkening as he prepared to unleash revelations that would resonate deep within their intertwined lives. Anna understood they were bound for a harsh reality. The abyss awaited them, but it was in that abyss where their true selves would be born anew. What awaited them next could shatter their existences or redefine them. Would it empower them to emerge unscathed, or sweep them into a confrontation they couldn't withstand? As the tension mounted, the air thick with anticipation and dread, Anna braced herself for whatever truth would be illuminated in the shadows. Would they finally grasp the hidden legacies of their existence, or would it lead to their undoing? The moon hung low in the night sky as Anna and Jake stood united, their hearts racing against the encroaching darkness that surrounded them. The figure leaned against the diner's doorway, a specter of Jake's past ready to unleash secrets that could shatter the life he had built. Anna felt tension coil around them, mirroring her own pulse. These revelations had the potential to either bind them in shared understanding or tear them apart. For too long, you've lived in the shadow of loyalty, Jake, the figure sneered. But loyalty only goes so far. It can bind you or destroy you. Jake's expression hardened, but Anna could sense the struggle within him. This was more than a confrontation, it was a pivotal moment. The past loomed over them like an ominous cloud, ready to unleash storms that would test their resolve. She reached for Jake's hand, grounding him in their shared determination. No matter what you reveal, we'll face it together, she assured him, her voice steady even amidst the incoming chaos. I just hope that's enough, Jake murmured, his gaze flitting from Anna to the figure. The weight of his past pressed heavily on him, and she could see the doubt flickering beneath his tough exterior. It was undeniable, his history was woven into the very fabric of his identity, and for every thread of loyalty, a darker side lay in waiting. Let us see how brave you really are, the figure taunted, stepping forward, his shadow casting long across the booth where they sat just moments before. You want the truth? Let me show you the price of this friendship you think can erase the debts I collect. Before Anna could process his words, the figure reached into his pocket, revealing a crumpled photograph. He tossed it on the table where they stood, the paper slipping and unfolding as the image settled the faces of a gang, each one lined with faces of anonymity, but underneath lay the silent warnings of danger. Jake's breath caught in his throat, recognition dawning across his features. How did your past isn't just yours to bury, the figure interjected with a smirk. You're tied to this life, whether you like it or not. Your feathered loyalties have attracted attention, and the time has come to settle old debts. The room was suddenly filled with oppressive silence. Anna's heart raced as Jake scanned the photograph, realization mingling with dread across his face. This was not merely a reminder of who he had been, this was a call to confrontation that demanded action. She tightened her grip on his hand, willing strength through their connection. What do you want from me? From us? Jake asked, his voice a mix of defiance and anger. His gaze snapped up to meet Anna's, searching for affirmation. They were standing on a precipice between understanding and chaos, between choosing to confront the dark past or retreating into familiar fear. I want you to choose, the figure replied, his tone dripping with a sarcastic charm. Either you succumb to your past or you fight for your future. But know this, your choices carry consequences and threads that can easily unravel your lives. This is just the beginning. Jake steeled himself, determination sparking in his eyes. I refuse to let my past dictate my future. I won run. Anna prepared to support him vocally but noticed a shift within Jake. This was his call to action, a moment where he could finally reclaim his narrative from the hands of someone else. And I won yield to fear, she echoed his resolve, nudging him gently yet firmly. Whatever battles await us, we will face them together. The figure's amusement faded, replaced by something more dangerous. Your connection has made you both more vulnerable than you realize. But if you're truly willing to fight for what you have, be prepared for the full weight of darkness that comes with it. The road ahead grows perilous. Bring it on, Jake replied, a fierce edge in his voice. The fear Anna had sensed earlier began to morph into something more potent, resolution fueled by the steadfast pulse of solidarity. They were not merely two people traversing this chaotic pathway, they were a union steeped in shared commitment. With an air of definitive finality, the figure stepped back, sizing them up with renewed scrutiny. Very well. But don't think for a second that it'll be easy. Every choice has a cost, and you both will discover just how high that cost can climb. As he turned to leave, Anna felt like they were standing at the edge of a chasm. The distance before them could lead to clarity or chaos. The truth of their path was yet to be revealed, but Anna realized that this moment reshaped her understanding of not just the relationship with Jake but with herself. In a world of shadows, she had illuminated her own strength. She had found the courage to confront the unknown not just for Jake, but for her own identity as well. This was her claim to empowerment, her ability to walk into the tumult of life without losing herself to fear dictated by the past. As dawn broke, the kaleidoscope of colors painted the sky, the soft glow of sunlight creeping over the horizon, symbolizing a new beginning and awakening. Jake turned to her, vulnerability mingling with warmth in his eyes. Whatever's ahead, we face it unflinchingly, he declared, conviction seeping into every word. Yes, Anna affirmed, her heart swelling with pride in their shared resolve. We will uncover the truth together, and no shadows will define us. The air hummed with fresh anticipation. The uncertainties looming on the horizon no longer felt as burdens but rather invitations to forge their identities anew. Together, they would confront whatever darkness lay ahead, anchored in the promise of becoming who they were meant to be. Determined to step into the light that awaited, Anna tightened her grip around Jake's hand once more, reassured by the connection they had cultivated. She navigated between shadows and truths, both their souls were awakening to possibilities, emboldened by the journey ahead. Stand firm, face the challenges, and never forget that the power lies in choosing your path. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will captivate your heart and mind. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more fans of transformative stories. Comment your thoughts and theories about this conclusion below. We'd love to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey of love and courage. Don't wait even one more second to share this empowering message.